Good afternoon. My name is Deborah Gary, president of DHEX Enterprises. We have three divisions in our company. One is on retail, and our current retail location is Tip Tap, 6353 Germantown Avenue in Philadelphia. We also offer educational programs and events as well as exhibits, and then we also offer professional services, printing as well. So today I'm going to give a quick lesson for those of you looking for something to educate your children on, and it's called The Little Legends. If you've been to a past Black History Showcase, African American History Showcase here in Philadelphia, you may have seen me with this exhibit, but if not, this is an education for everybody, young and old. Our little legends are here, are youth that have made a difference in not only the United States but also in the world. And there are children and characters from the African diaspora. So I'm going to go through quickly who some of these people are. Now first we'll start here, Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder was, although blind, discovered at the age of 11, and by age 13 had a major hit called Fingertips. We also have Jackson 5. I'm sure many of you know them. But the Jackson 5 was the first act to have a first 4 major singers reach the top Billboard 100. Malia and Sasha Obama. Not only was their father considered the first African American president here in the United States, these daughters were the first. Sasha was the youngest child to reside in the White House. Nakashi Johnson. This young man was born HIV positive, and in 1997, a primary school outside of Johannesburg refused him. So he was later then accepted as a pupil because of his HIV status by a school in Johannesburg, South Africa. Ruby Bridges, those of you here in the United States should know of Ruby Bridges as the first African American child to attend an all-white elementary school in the South in 1960 at the age of 6. And so she helped integrate the schools in New Orleans. Colvette Colvin. Now, although we know of one person who sat on the bus, Rosa Parks, Claudette Colvin actually sat on the bus a year prior to her. At the age 15, she refused to give up her seat on a Montgomery bus to a white person. She was handcuffed and arrested 9 months before Rosa Parks. Emmett Till, unfortunately for this young man, at age 14, he was murdered in Mississippi after reportedly for flirting with a white woman. His murder led to all kinds of events that started the civil rights movement. King Tut. King Tut was the youngest king. He took the throne at the age of 9, and at that point was given the name Tutankhamun. Dominique Dawes, a gymnastic wonder. At the age of 20, she became the first African American woman to win an individual Olympic medal in artistic gymnastics, and the first black person of any nationality or gender to win an Olympic gold medal in gymnastics. And of course we know Serena and Venus Williams. These two young girls, sisters, were the youngest African Americans and two of the best professional female tennis players of all times. Tawandi Sharma. When she was only 8 years old, Tawandi, a Zambian girl, school was closed. So she led 60 other children in walking to find another school. Education is important. So, these are some children that understood that. Now, we're talking of our current Queen Charlotte, who back in 1761 at the age of 16 was Princess Sophie Charlotte, became the Queen of England and Ireland. So you have heard recently about our current princess and that she was African descent, and that the queen actually acknowledged that there was African descent in their ancestry. Gabrielle Douglas was the first woman of color and African American to win individual all-around Olympics gymnastic titles. And here's a 14-year-old actually that developed a new surgical technique to sew up hysterectomy patients, Tony Hansberry. Trayvon Martin, we've heard the story of Trayvon Martin, who was killed by a neighborhood watch person, George Zimmerman, at the age of 17. This was definitely an uncalled for murder, and is an example of everything that our young men are facing. The Scottsboro Boys. These were 9 black teenagers accused of rape in Alabama in 1931. This landmark set a legal case for racism and the right to a fair trial. Their case led to the end of all white juries in the South. However, even though that was back in 1931, we unfortunately know that that is still taking place, all white juries. The Little Rock Nine. These young people also were having to be police escorted into Little Rock Central High School in 1957 as a way to desegregate those schools. Then we had the 4 young girls that were killed in the Birmingham church bombing at the 16th Street Baptist Church. This took place in September of 1963. This attack was meant to disrupt the black community activists who have been demonstrating for the end of segregation. You know, it's unfortunate that we still are having to go through that, but we lost 4 young girls who were attending Sunday school at the time. Now, those of you watching TV and you've seen the Little Rascals, and you always wondered about why they showed this little boy as we couldn't tell whether he was a little girl or a little boy. But this little personality, Alan Hoskins, who was Farina, turned out to be one of the well-paid, I should say, actors at that time. He was earning $250 a week, which was more than even the young white children in the Little Rascals was earning. Monet Davis, who's one of our Philadelphia own. She, again, pitched in the American Little League Baseball, one of 2 girls who played at the time in the 2014 Little League World Series. But she's the first girl to earn a win and to pitch a shutout in the Little League World Series. Kuvonsi Wallace, at 9 years old, became the youngest Academy Award winner. That nominee, I should say, that was just a few years back. And those of you currently watching some of the series about Madam C.J. Walker and being a rich millionaire, in 1913, which was around that same time actually, Sarah Rector, at the age of 11, became the richest black girl in the nation. Her land struck oil and she became a millionaire. So most people may not know her story. So again, that was a quick lesson on our little legends. Of course, I'm sure as parents, you know so many more important things that little children are doing, and this is a good time to point that out to our youth. While you have them at home, you know, they can either do some research or they could just brainstorm and think of some of the things that maybe children or friends of theirs have done or other children have done that they've heard about. Of course, these things are not always covered in your American history classes in school, but this is a great time to educate our youth about some of the many things that other youth have done, and encourage them to think about things they could do themselves that would make a difference in the world. And while I'm